So our next concept is on water. So water as a natural resource. Some of the concepts related to the water, like some irrigation methods, advanced irrigation techniques, watershed management, water harvesting techniques, these all will discuss in this topic. Okay, definitely water is required for every living being. That's why we call this water for all the living beings require water for their sustenance. Already in class 9th we have discussed some of the topics or some of the concepts related to water. So what are they? We will see. So water is a basic necessity for all terrestrial forms of life, and we studied in class 9th about the importance of water as a resource. So why do we call it as basic necessity for all terrestrial forms? Because suppose they are the aquatic forms, anyhow plenty of water is available to them. Even they need water, but it's already available. But terrestrial forms, definitely they search to get this water, or they should struggle to get the water. So what we studied in class 9th, if you see, what is the importance of water as a resource, and water cycle is nothing but how the water is getting replenishing back into the nature or back into the atmosphere, we have discussed, and how human intervention pollutes the water body, we have discussed. However, human intervention also changes the availability of water in various regions, also we have discussed. So what new we will discuss in this class, we'll see. Okay, so water for all throughout the world, everyone requires the water. So if you see the statement which is given here, regions of water scarcity are closely correlated to the regions of acute poverty. So what it means? So the regions, suppose you see wherever the states or districts which are located throughout the world, or just you can take examples from India, some of the states are suffering with scarcity of water because of failure monsoons, or because of geographical conditions, or because of environmental conditions, whatever it is. When they don't have sufficient water availability in that areas, that is definitely closely related to the regions of the acute poverty. So throughout the years, continuously they suffer with the poverty, because any area should develop means, like economically, water availability should be must in that area. When water availability is not properly there, that leads to poverty in the particular area. That you can correlate, you can do any research, you can search in Google also the economic status of the particular district or the area and the rainfall patterns of particular district or area, then definitely there will be a correlation. They both are proportional to each other. Okay, and water availabilities, if you see how water is available to any area, what are the water sources for any area, if you see, main one is the rainfall. The ultimate one is the rainfall, right? So a study of rainfall pattern does not reveal the whole truth behind the water availability in various regions in India. So only if we depend on rainfall, it's not successful and it's not optimum. Why? Because rains in India are largely due to monsoon only. Rains in India is due to monsoon, and monsoon is always uncertain. No one can predict that one, and it's completely under nature's control. So this means that most of rains fall in a few months of the year, right or not? Monsoon season already you know during which months monsoon season. So that is uncertain as well as limited period. The duration of the rainfall is limited, especially in India. So along with this, despite nature's monsoon buoyancy, failure to sustain water availability underground has resulted largely from the loss of vegetation cover. So what it means, along with this monsoon buoyancy, monsoon is definitely it's unpredictable. Along with that, sometimes we fail because when water availability or the rainfall is not sufficient, then the groundwater levels cannot be replenished back. This groundwater cannot be replenished back. So that what will happen? That particular area, the soil of the area becomes dry in nature, right? When water availability is not proper, that soil becomes dry in nature and it loses its fertility. Because of that, there is no chance of growing of particular vegetation which requires more water demanding. Understood? So that those areas which are having less groundwater levels, as they have less moistness in the soil, definitely there will be a diversion for high water demanding crops. So that particular crops cannot be grown in the areas. Along with that, pollution from industrial effluents and urban waste also spoiling the water availability in the particular areas. Because of all these factors, there is no chance of economic development of the particular area. Because of all these factors, no chance of economic development of the particular area. So that acutely that area suffers with the poverty, as there is no water availability or else scarcity of the water availability. Okay, like that you can justify the statement which is given here. Regions of water scarcity are definitely closely correlated to the regions of acute poverty. Okay, then what is the alternative for this? As we Indians can't depend only on the rainfall or only on the monsoon, then what should be the alternative? Suppose here you see this is the monsoon season time, how it starts its rain. Okay, so what is the alternative for this monsoon? So irrigation methods like dams, tanks and canals have been used in various parts of the India since ancient time. As from the ancient time, these monsoons are unpredictable or else they are not certain. Ancient time also onwards, local people generally used to follow some of the irrigation methods like dams, tanks and canals. Suppose you see this is the dam, okay, this is the canal system and this is the tank system. Local people used to manage all these irrigation methods. So main purpose of them is agriculture as well as to meet the basic needs of the people. So these were generally local interventions managed by local people and assured that the basic minimum requirements for both agriculture and daily needs were met throughout the year. Definitely these systems should meet agriculture needs as well as the basic needs of the human, daily needs of the human. So the use of the stored water was strictly regulated and optimum cropping patterns based on the water availability were arrived at on the basis of decades, centuries of experience. The maintenance of these irrigation systems was also a local effort. So definitely in ancient time, means before the Britishers, managing of or dealing with all these irrigation methods are controlled by the local people like Sarpanch, presidents, they used to be there, right? So those people or Tahsildar, some terms are given, some designations are given to the local people, and those local people only used to manage all these irrigation methods. But the system is completely changed and the authorization also completely changed after Britishers' entry. So what happened after Britishers' entry, you can see. The arrival of British changed the systems as it changed many other things, right or not? British has changed many other systems like transport system has changed, right? Hospitals are changed, educational system is changed. All the systems are changed in the same way. This irrigation system or water sources system also completely changed. Their authorities also changed. So the conception of large scale projects, large dams and canals traversing large distances were first conceived and implemented by the British and carried on with no less gusto by our newly formed independent government. Means these systems are first implemented by the Britishers, Still, we are following the same systems in our independent government also. So these mega projects led to the neglect of the local irrigation methods, and the government also increasingly took over the administration of these systems, leading to loss of control over the local water sources by the local people. Okay. So after independent Indian government also following the same rules which Britishers used to follow. Completely government taken the control over the water availabilities or irrigation methods, and local people are not involving in managing of the water sources like dams or canals or tanks. Okay, same way like forest and wildlife, here also local people are completely alienated in the managing of these water resources. So definitely there will be a disadvantage will be there, because the local people, as they are aware of the particular local area, they can better manage than any other good administrator. When they know the geographical area and the environmental conditions of the particular area, definitely they can manage well. But even independent India not allowing the local people to participate in managing of this resources. Okay. So what happened after Britishers, even in the new independent India, government is following and showing interest in constructing these type of mega projects. Instead of small scale dams, tanks and canal system for irrigation techniques and irrigation methods, they started doing this type of mega projects. Remember, mega projects are having its advantages as well as more disadvantages. What are they? We'll discuss in the later topics. Okay, so these are the mega projects. So why do we seek to build dams? Actually, what is meant by dam? Yeah, dams are they are the reservoirs and where the water can be stored. Huge amount of water can be stored. One thing. What are the other functions or other advantages of dams? Because of the dam construction, as water can be stored there, it controls the floods, one thing. And with the help of the dams, when water is allowed to flow from high level area to low level area, then by using turbines we can generate electricity, right? And the stored water can be used for agriculture as well as for the daily needs of the people, right? Large dams can ensure the storage of adequate water, not just for irrigation but also for generating electricity. So these are some of the advantages of constructing dams. You can see large dams can ensure the storage of adequate water, not just for irrigation, even for generating electricity also. As discussed in the previous chapter, actually in sources of energy we could discuss this topic. Canal systems leading from these dams can transfer large amount of water to the greater distances. So from the dams the water can be transported and transferred to the greater distances through canal system. Example, if you see, Indira Gandhi Canal has brought greenery to considerable areas for Rajasthan. Suppose you see, this is the Indira Gandhi Canal has brought greenery to considerable areas of Rajasthan. So when this canal is connected to the Rajasthan area, so there could be possibility of growing of the vegetation. However, mismanagement of the water has largely led to the benefits being cornered by few people. There is no equitable distribution of water. Thus, people close to the source grow water intensive crops like sugarcane, rice, while people away or farther to the downstream do not get any water. The woes of these people who have been promised benefits which never arrived are added to the discontentment among the people who have been displaced by the building of the dam and its canal network. So same way like forest and wildlife, how we discussed that mismanagement of the government leads to some of the disadvantages or some of the drawbacks. Same way mismanagement in these factors also and water managing techniques also, not providing equitable distribution of water to all the people who belongs to the particular area. People who are staying near to the canal system, they can grow some of the crops like sugarcane, rice, etc. But the people who are away to the canal system are not getting any water availability, so that they are still suffering with poverty. Okay, that should not be done. So we mentioned the reason for opposition to construction of large dams such as Tehri Dam on the river Ganga. You must have read about the protest by Narmada Bachao Andolan, which is nothing but Save Narmada, about raising the heights of the Sardar Sarovar Dam on the river Narmada. Right? Why there should be a protesting or oppositions for constructing the large dams? What are the disadvantages of the large dams? Definitely there are some disadvantages are there during construction of the large dams. Those problems, if you classify into social and economic environmental problems, then what are the problems you can see? So there are three problems in particular which are related to the construction of larger dams. They are nothing but social problems. This is because people has to be displaced, means large number of peasants, especially farmers and some of the tribals, they should be displaced without adequate compensation or rehabilitation. So government, even they are displacing them during construction of the larger dams, government is not paying sufficient and adequate compensation and rehabilitation to these people like tribals and peasants, because construction of the dams mostly it covers empty areas and when the forest areas also. So tribal people are they should be displaced, along with the farmers also should be displaced. That is completely related to the social problem. Next one is the economic problem. What is economic problem? Okay. So because economy, most of the public economy is consuming during construction of these larger dams, because government paying any money or anything for construction of anything, that money is collected actually from people only in the form of tax. We pay the money to them, and in return they are doing things for us. So the economic problem is because they swallow up huge amounts of public money without the generation of proportionate benefits. Sometimes there is a chance of bribing, right? So properly they are not giving advantages and comforts to the people, but they show that they're constructing the larger dams and they swallow up most of the money, public money. That is economic problem. Third one is the environmental problem. This is because they contribute enormously to deforestation and loss of biological diversity. So because of the construction of the larger dams, environmental problem also is there, because deforestation should be done in the particular area, right? Because of deforestation, biological diversity in the particular area can be disturbed, like more number of flora and fauna can be disturbed. Okay, so these are the three problems related to construction of larger dams. What are they? Social problem, economic problem and environmental problem. Okay, so the people who have been displaced by various development projects are largely poor tribals who do not get any benefits from these projects and are alienated from their lands and forests without adequate compensation. So already this we discussed in our one of the social problems, right? Even the ousties of the Tawa Dam built in the 1970s are still fighting for the benefits they were promised. So this is an example, if you check, which was happened in the 1970. During the construction of the Tawa Dam, the ousties, means the people who are displaced from the area, still they are fighting for the benefits which were promised by the government. So this is an example how construction of the larger dams are disturbing the ecological and economical and social harmony. Okay.